1 degree of separation. In this video, I'm going to help you overcome your fears so you can attain that which you desire. The problem with our fears or our emotions is we too heavily identify with them that they stop us from actually pursuing that which we desire to do. They become so overpowering that they become the main reason in which we don't act on what we want. Let's say you want to start content creation, for example, but you just can't seem to help get over the fear of being perceived. No matter how much times you convince yourself, the emotion of fear is too overpowering, no matter how much times you logically understand it. That's because our emotions don't operate on logic, they operate on emotional conviction. But this one simple trick called 1 degree of separation that I've come up with is my new life motto. It will help you to learn to overcome such obstacles so that you can attain that which you desire. The first thing is we need to understand what our emotions are. Before we get to that, first we need to understand ourselves as individuals. Part of, being competent in thyself is to understand yourself as the divine creature that you are. So you are infinite consciousness, meaning that you are directly connected to everything. You are made of the same matter that the stars in the sky that you see and admire are made out of. Right? So you are divinely connected to everything, all of nature and all of earth, right? In fact, in your purest form, you are just energy vibrating at the highest frequency. And it serves you to understand this, and you only deal with emotions through your human experience, right? In fact, we are born with emotions. A baby isn't afraid of anything. A baby doesn't really know what fear is. If you put a snake on a baby, the baby will try to grab the snake, lift it up, put it in its mouth. It doesn't care because it hasn't experienced or yet understand the emotion of fear. Poses a question, what are emotions? So emotions are a psychological response to stimuli that triggers your ego. Your emotions are a psychological response to stimuli that triggers your ego. What the hell does that mean? So, let's say somebody gives you a compliment, yeah? Let's say you pride yourself in being really fit, and somebody goes, hey man, you're really filling up that shirt. It looks good on you. The emotion that you feel after that is, you feel pleasant. Why? Because this individual just validated a self-image that you had. See how that was a psychological response to stimuli that triggered your ego? That sort of eats into the idea of yourself that you have, that comes from you desiring to be fit or you desiring to be an individual that fills up their clothes. So, with understanding that, it works the same for our fears, right? They're all psychological responses to stimuli that trigger our ego. Because when we define fear, fear is the anticipation of the occurrence of the worst case scenario. And when we can understand this, we can learn to apply the law of 1 degree of separation. And basically what this means is when you are experiencing an overwhelming amount of emotion, learning to separate yourself as an individual from the situation allows you to separate the emotion. And this is extremely powerful once you learn how to do. And I'll explain to you exactly how to do that. I watched a video on this a very long time ago, and it really changed my perspective on emotions in general. And you really tend to realize how much of the emotions that you experience are simply just experiences and not you. Because our biggest problem is we heavily identify with our emotions. We think our emotions are us. No, we are conditioned to feel our emotions. We are conditioned to experience fear, right? We are conditioned. It's all our conditioning. As a child, we don't know any of that. We learn as we grow, interact with others, and watch how others sort of interact with the world, the adults around us, right? So, imagine somebody cuts you off in traffic, and you're suddenly angered. A rush of anger overwhelms you, and you're about to go F, right? Before you swear, or once you catch yourself in the negative emotion going off, I want you to ask yourself this question. Why does the mind feel like this? You see, what you're doing there is you're separating yourself from your mind. See, you're an individual that has a mind. You aren't your mind. You're an individual that experiences emotions. You aren't your emotions. So when you say, why does the mind feel like this? You create 1 degree of separation, right? You separate yourself from the experience. And what you realize is that emotion, that strong emotion you feel will evaporate, will dissipate, will be gone, or disappear. Because what you do is then you've separated yourself, 1 degree of separation from yourself and the emotion. So it's no longer overwhelming you. So then now you can think critically, because it was a trigger, right? The person cutting you off was a trigger, right? Your ego got triggered. Remember what emotion is? A psychological response to stimuli that triggers your ego, right? The stimuli was the car. It triggered your ego. Like, how dare this guy cut me off? What if he killed me? And then boom, your survival instincts to want to react to the person occurs. But when you separate yourself and say, why does the mind feel like this? What you've done is you've created a gap between yourself and the emotion you're experiencing to understand yourself and the situation, to then critically think and remove yourself from the emotion so you can understand that it doesn't really serve you. When you feel angry, only you experience the negative effects of anger. Only you. You, the individual, experience the negative effects. The person who cut you off doesn't, right? So when you create this one degree of separation, you allow yourself to critically think and look at your situation and alleviate the emotion that you're currently feeling. And you can use this for all aspects of life. So anyway, the next time, but before I tell you all the other aspects of life that you can use it for, remember, the next time you feel a strong emotion, ask yourself, why does the mind feel like this? What this creates is an element of separation, what I like to call 1 degree of separation. And you're able to then think critically and alleviate the overwhelmingness of the emotion that you currently are experiencing. Because the emotion isn't you. You are simply experiencing it. And you can do this with things such as the fear that you have with starting that new project that you want to start. Okay, let's say you have a business and you know that your business needs content creation in order for you to find clients, right? But you just can't get over the fact of the fear of being perceived, or the self-doubt, or the perfectionism, or all the negative emotions that come up that stop you from creating content for your business. So you apply the 1 degree of separation. And how do you do this? You tell yourself, okay, I need to make money. So factor my emotions out. My emotions don't matter as much anymore. So you go, okay, I need to get from point A to point B. In order for me to get from point A to point B, content creation is something that I need to do. So you look at the content creation as work, right? If you worked a normal job and you hate public speaking, but your bosses asks you to public speak and present a pitch or something, you're not going to say, no, I don't want to do it. I don't know how to do it. I'm scared of it. You're going to do it. Why? Because you need to get paid. Otherwise, you get kicked out, correct? I need you to treat your life just as you treat your job. 1 degree of separation. Now, you removed your self-identity. The fees that you experience are yours. They're not the business's fees. Yeah? So when you understand that you need to content create for the business, you create that 1 degree of separation, understanding that I need to get this done, irrespective of how I feel. So I'm going to see this as work. And when you see it as work and something that you need to do point A to point B, you remove your emotions out of it. And it's no longer something that's directly related to your self-identity. You can do the same with, the fear of rejection. Oftentimes, the reason why we fear rejection is the meaning that we assign to the outcome of the situation. And oftentimes, the meaning that we assign to the outcome of the situation has to do with our self-identity and how we see ourselves. If we express interest in somebody and they say back to us, hey, I don't think I'm interested, somehow we allow that to define us and say, maybe we aren't enough. When in fact, we can just consider that an experience. The paradigm shift comes when you're able to see rejection as merely just an experience instead of it defining the individual that you are. You create that 1 degree of separation. Okay, this person is not interested in me. That means I don't tick any of the boxes that they have in their minds about what their type is. That's okay. That does not mean I'm not enough. There's plenty of people in the world. I'll go find somebody else that's interested in me. Wow. Look at that, cuz you're a wahash. Because if you do that, you'd be unstoppable. You'd have no inhibitions. So learn to create 1 degree of separation between yourself and what it is you're trying to do, so that your fears or your negative emotions don't overwhelm you from attaining or doing the things that you're required to do. Whether it is starting a new venture, right? Or content creation, or pitching somebody on your business, or asking somebody you're interested out. Create a degree of separation. Understand that in order for you to attain what you want, you need to do this task, and sometimes the emotions got nothing to do with it. Imagine if the businesses that we rely on to provide the things that we need. Yeah, that stimulate the economy, that ensure the economy is functioning in an efficient manner, didn't do the actions that they need to do based on their emotions. How much in shambles would the economy be, right? How in shambles would our personal lives be because they're not delivering the means that we want, right? Irrespective of whether how you feel, you show up to work anyway, right? Ensure that you keep that same level of commitment for yourself and your individual life. And how do you do this? By creating a 1 degree of separation between what you need to do. By not too heavily identifying with the emotions that you may encounter and experience when doing the things that you know you desire to do, or doing the things that you know you need to do. So remember, when you feel an overwhelming emotion come over, you ask yourself, why does the mind feel like this? Creating a separate entity between the self and the mind. So you can then critically think of the situation and alleviate yourself from the overwhelming emotional experience, creating 1 degree of separation. Remember this, okay? 1 degree of separation. Thank you guys for listening. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.